Good afternoon, everyone. Gabe Velazquez here with you, TransferTradeSolutions.com on a Friday. This is 28th August. We had the Warsh much anticipated speech this afternoon. Let's get right into the charts. And also we had the NVIDIA earnings since I was here on Tuesday. All in all, the markets are going nowhere and looks like the luster, if you will, off NVIDIA is wearing off very, very quickly. They could not, I want to actually don't really talk about much about stocks, but if we look at the chart of NVIDIA, which I wrote about several weeks ago, being basically it's the biggest stock. We were unable to get above the 230 mark here, and we're right back down to 212. If NVIDIA breaks 210, I think it's going back to 190. And then by extension, I think it's probably going to drag down the entire market. So keep an eye on that. So apparently, all the great news and blah, blah, blah about NVIDIA is very, very quickly wearing off. So that leads us to where we are in the NASDAQ today. We had some interesting, sentiment readings on the NASDAQ, on the overall market, meaning that we have extreme call buying since the euphoria from all the AI stocks. And we also had software stocks rally. We're sitting at a very precarious level here on the NASDAQ 100 futures. This morning's failed rally potentially gives us a big reversal. We're sitting right at this area here. If we break later this afternoon, we probably are going to go visit this area down in here. So I would be very cautious right here with the overall market. S&P similarly, you can see it's having a pretty good reversal. Didn't quite get to some of these levels we were looking at. Similarly, 7,700 is going to be key with regards to the S&P. And interestingly, the VIX is barely moving, which I find really fascinating. So still no fear really. And this could be setting up for an interesting next couple of weeks. Remember, September is one of the worst months of the year. Whether that actually materializes this year, we'll have to see. Now, what really did get impacted by the war speech was rates. Still haven't broken out. We still have to get that beyond the 475, but the dollar, which has been really had the biggest moves, that move came from the Treasury announcement. That move today, we're sitting at resistance. That these moves here were also part of that whole thing. So we will see if the dollar bottom has we've bottomed out and in the dollar right at that demand zone. And now gold, silver, and all these crypto, IBIT, all these markets that have rallied because of the weaker dollar, all reversed. So it is going to be an interesting situation next week with all of these markets. You see Bitcoin is actually hanging in there so far. But I think if it breaks 75K, we're probably headed right back down to 67K. Been writing about grains. They continue to rally. They have broken out of some major long-term resistance levels. I actually did write about this also. So again, subscribe to the newsletter. I'll be writing one this Sunday, giving you some ideas of what possibly goes next. Again, there's actionable ideas in the newsletter, so it's free. So go ahead and sign up for that. Wheat, interesting, and corn, which I've made mention here even that I thought was going to break out. We'll see if that continues. And the metals are going to be predicated on what more or less what the dollar does. So you can see we came right into the resistance in gold futures, and we're pulling back. And let's see, I think we're probably going to go back to 4,300 on gold, and possibly it could be a buying opportunity depending. So all told, we're coming into the end of the summer. September seasonality kicks in. So far, the market's hung in there. Still got a lot of rotation, so lots of opportunities, and we'll see how next week's gonna we got the non-farm payrolls and all that. So be ready for some volatility, which is great. Hopefully, we get some. Trading indexes has been really, really challenged, as you know, because they just can't get going, even though, again, everybody tells you how bullish everything is. Uh, you know, that's really not reality. Clearly, we're still higher, obviously, but we just cannot get any kind of traction to the upside, especially the Nasdaq. Nasdaq, just to put this into context, is not even close to the all-time highs. Uh, you know, we still, I mean, all-time highs in that Nasdaq is 31K to 31 uh, K up here. We're sitting still can't even get anywhere. So we'll see. In any event, have a great weekend. Sign up for the newsletter. Give me a thumbs up, put some commentary, and we'll see you next Tuesday. Take care.